During the final arc of Diamond is Not Crash, Yoshihiro Kira was in a desperate attempt to provide a distraction for his son, Yoshikage Kira. This resulted in a multitude of diverse stands that would help destroy the Moriocho gang, from dangerous stands like Highway Star and Cheap Trick to more mundane stands like Boys to Men and Superfly. Though one stand that induced the most amount of fear and nearly single-handedly took down the crew, that is the living mystery itself, Enigma, and his stand user, Teranosuke Miyamoto. Teranosuke is probably one of the scariest stand users living in the Moriocho area. This is all due to his interest, ability, and sheer determination to get his job done. Though before we get too into that, we should actually discuss the meaning behind his name. Teranosuke Miyamoto was never originally given a proper name during the original manga run of Part 4, going specifically by Enigma Boy until 5 years later when he was actually given a name in JoJo A Go-Go. And it would appear that his name was designed specifically after his role in the story. First, of course, you have his name, Teranosuke, which when broken down means shining light far from help. And then you have his family name, Miyamoto, which basically means a book palace or a palace of books. So altogether, his name means a book palace who shines far away from help, which directly plays into his arc, as he himself is a metaphorical book palace due to his abilities. Alongside this, Josuke, or the metaphorical shining help, is kidnapped during this fight, making him far away and requiring someone else to help him. Then of course you have the cherry on top of his name, that being the joke that the man named Book Palace far away from help irreversibly becomes a book himself and lives the rest of his life in a library far from help. And it's all thanks to his own stand ability backfiring on him. And that ability is Enigma. Enigma is a tall humanoid stand with knuckles designed after that of pistons on a saxophone or trombone. Alongside this, it also has a question mark motif running alongside its arms, legs, body, and face, which all play into the literal meaning of the name Enigma, which is taken from the word enigma, which means a person or thing that is mysterious or difficult to understand. Now, stats-wise, it has an E in destructive power, E in speed, C in range, A in durability, C in precision, and C in developmental potential. Now, even though Enigma is classified as extremely dangerous, it actually only has one major ability, with a bunch of restrictions on it too. That ability being Paper Seal. Paper Seal is an ability which allows Enigma to convert or trap objects or living things within sheets of paper, with the target themselves becoming the paper they are entrapped in. Though Paper Seal, when it comes to things without wills of their own, Teranosuke can easily convert them into paper. Be them guns, vials, cars, any non-living thing is easily converted. Though I assume smaller things like animals or bugs don't actually have strong enough wills to counteract Enigma, so they get classified in the objects category of storage. But if they do, it does actually create a pretty humorous scenario where Teranosuke has to go around scaring groups of scorpions prior to his appearance in Part 4. Because that reason being, when it comes to things that actually do have wills of their own, Teranosuke needs to scare the target into revealing their physical tell of fear, which he needs to be 100% certain about, because if he's wrong, they don't change. But if the target does perform that same tell again, they will have part of their body converted into paper and slowly absorbed and folded away. While in this paper form, the target remains exactly the same as they were before they were captured, as long as the paper remains undamaged. But if the paper is destroyed in any way, the target will die, along with it being assumed that if the paper is ripped or torn in any way, that damage would go on to affect the target with inside it. Alongside this, Teranosuke is not immune to his own ability, as he is easily able to convert himself at will into paper, allowing him to disappear and reappear seemingly out of nowhere, playing into the Enigma part of his stand's name. Though this lack of immunity to his own ability is actually one of its biggest flaws, as if someone is able to recognize Teranosuke's own tell of fear, inform him about it, and then make him do it again, Enigma will begin to convert himself into paper, which could be very troublesome in the middle of a fight. And the only other perceived downside of his ability is that if the paper that has something trapped in it is opened by any outside force outside of the user's will, whatever is inside of it will be released. Now, this downside can be used in a positive way, like to set up traps, but it also can accidentally let out a hostage who may or may not beat your ass. Though I should also mention that him turning into a book isn't specifically his stand's doing. I know I mentioned Enigma turning him into paper is one of the downsides of his ability, but him turning into a book isn't that. That's actually a mixture of Josuke's Crazy Diamond's ability, as we see Crazy Diamond uses something very similar in the past, see Angelo for example, where he can mix a person with something else. And when he does this to Teranosuke while he's turning into paper, it results results in an irreversible prison of ironic design, a person who likes to observe and read people becoming a book himself. Now, Enigma the stand gets its name from the German music project Enigma, started by Michael Creto, with a lot of its inspiration being taken specifically from the album MCMXC AD, the first studio album of Enigma, and its first major hit, Sadness Part 1. Now, Enigma the music project was created to help break the habits or old rules of music at the time, and introduce a new artistic sound to the world. And that's likely the origin of Terranosuke and Enigma's focus on habits of other people, as this is even reinforced by Enigma's first ever global hit, Sadness, which Sadness gets its name from the French novel that gave us the word sadism, or pleasure from pain. And with Terranosuke's obsession for other people's tells, and the pleasure he gets from scaring them, it's very easy to assume that he himself is a sadist, which connects to sadness, which then connects to Enigma. And then finally, you have the last inspiration on Enigma the stand, and that's on Enigma's ability being based off M.C. Escher paintings, as M.C. Escher was known for trapping what looked like 3D objects or environments inside the 2D planescape. Along with this, you also have how M.C. Escher used his negative space as part of the image itself, creating impossible objects to make a truly interesting and enjoyable visual experience. One of the best examples of this is M.C. Escher's Night and Day, which I point out because it also seems to have been used as visual inspiration for one of these scenes in the Great Days anime opening. Though there was actually a little bit of extra meaning attached to the name Enigma, which comes from the Part 4 light novel, Fourth Another Day. Here we learn that Terranosuke's book was actually given the name Enigma, and the shredded paper that he was mixed in was actually a jumble of words and letters, which led to the pages of his book being filled with utter nonsense, which in itself holds no meaning. Though a lot of people who have picked up the book and try to read it believe the Enigma book to have hidden meaning, and they all try to decipher it, but drop it before discovering anything due to a weird voice they hear crying out for help. This is indeed a reference to the encryption system called the Enigma code, which was invented by the Germans during World War II so they could safely send messages and receive messages without worrying about them being intercepted, as anyone who reads an Enigma coded message without a decoder or a key is basically reading gibberish. Though because of its distinctive ability, its almost utter annihilation of the crew, and its interesting visual design, Enigma is an arc and a stand that really sticks out in the manga, especially so since the antagonist himself didn't actually mention or have a name till 5 years later. Alongside that, he's also truly one of the most irredeemable people in JoJo. Not only a coward in combat, but also having no qualms with going after defenseless family members of the main crew, making him truly one of the most despicable human beings in JoJo. Though now he spends most of his days as a book crying out for help in a library somewhere, trapped in his own palace of books. Now, if you enjoyed this video and like to see more videos like it in the future, I have a Patreon at patreon.com/MightyNotTheBadGuy. Now, this video itself was actually the winner of the It Just Works poll for this month, and if you want to vote in the next poll, well, you need to pledge at least $3 or more at the Patreon. You get to vote, as every month they put up a poll, and the winner of the poll gets a video that month. And if you want to figure out your own habits to make sure that you can defend yourself against something like Enigma, well, first you need to buy yourself a copy of Shinemeta at buyshimoneta.com.